Imagine sitting at your computer, right? You have this idea for a track in your head, like maybe a really moody, synth-heavy cyberpunk anthem,
Yeah.
or a stripped-down acoustic ballad about, I don't know, outgrowing your hometown.
Yeah, the kind of thing that usually takes forever to actually make.
Exactly. Normally, bridging the gap between that thought and a finished song takes this massive stack of software, an intimate knowledge of music theory, hours of tweaking, and probably some really expensive plugins.
Oh, totally. A lot of friction.
Right. But instead, you just type out that thought. You describe the mood, the instrumentation, the vocal style, all in a single sentence. You hit enter. And before your coffee even gets cold, you are listening to a fully mastered, multi-track, radio-quality song that literally never existed before.
It fundamentally breaks your brain the first time you hear it, because you're not getting just like a generic MIDI loop or a basic drum pattern.
No, it's way more than that.
Right, you are getting the vocals, the lyrical phrasing, the actual breathing between the words, the bass line, the final studio polish, all of it synthesized from scratch.
That is the core of today's deep dive. We are unpacking a stack of research, articles, and industry notes on Suno AI, and really the absolute earthquake that is synthetic music production.
Yeah, and it's happening so fast.
It really is. And the reason this matters to you, whether you're a content creator looking for a highly specific soundtrack, a music fan, or just, insanely curious about where technology is heading, is that we are looking at a moment that permanently alters the relationship between human imagination and audio creation.
We really are. I mean, the source material paints a picture of an industry that is just caught completely off guard.
Like they didn't see it coming at all.
Not at this speed, no.
Yeah.
The leap from those old, robotic, glitchy text-to-speech toys to fully emotive, structurally cohesive music generation happened in what feels like, well, a blink of an eye.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because a tech-savvy audience understands that a computer can sequence a beat. We've had algorithmic music for decades, right?
Right, that part isn't new.
But generating human-sounding vocals with actual emotional inflection alongside complex instrumentation, just based on a text prompt. I want to know the mechanism here. Like, what is actually happening under the hood when you hit generate on Suno AI?
So to understand the how, you have to step away from how traditional digital audio workstations work. Like, forget about Pro Tools or Ableton for a second.
Like throwing out the DAW.
Yeah. Suno isn't piecing together pre-recorded samples from some massive library. It's actually utilizing latent diffusion models. It's very similar to the architecture behind image generators like Midjourney or DALL-E, but applied to the incredibly complex domain of audio.
Oh, wow. So it's turning sound into a visual format to train on it, like spectrograms?
That's a massive part of the puzzle, yeah. When these AI models are trained, they don't just listen to audio the way you or I do. They process massive data sets of music that have been converted into visual representations of frequencies over time. Exactly. And those are paired with incredibly dense text metadata describing that music, the genre, the BPM, the mood, the specific timbre of the singer's voice.
So the AI is essentially reading the music.
Right. It learns the microscopic mathematical patterns of what a distorted electric guitar playing a minor chord actually looks like at a frequency level.
I see. So it's mapping the relationship between language and audio features, which means when I type a prompt, it's not searching for a file, it's navigating this massive multidimensional map of sound.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, yeah. Think of this latent space as a near infinite map. Acoustic is on one axis, melancholy is on another, female alto vocals on a third.
Like a set of highly specific GPS coordinates.
Exactly. Your text prompt acts as those GPS coordinates. The AI goes to that exact mathematical intersection in latent space. It starts with pure random digital noise, and step by step, it diffuses that noise, sculpting it into a coherent audio wave that matches your coordinates.
Which explains why the prompt is essentially the new instrument.
It really is.
Because if I just type, make a rock song, I'm giving the AI a very, very vague zip code, like order me something at the musical drive-thru. The output is going to be incredibly generic.
Right, you'll get something, but it probably won't be great.
But if the sources are right, the people getting the most out of this are treating prompting as a highly technical craft. How much does the prompt actually matter? Are users just clicking random, or is there a real art to this?
Oh, prompting is everything. The output is entirely tethered to the specificity of the input. Our sources highlight that the power users of Suno aren't just typing basic moods.
What are they doing instead?
They are using highly specific musical terminology. Like, they'll prompt for an energetic electronic song about the future of AI, but they will specify 120 BPM male baritone vocals with heavy reverb, a driving sub bass, and a cyberpunk dystopian aesthetic.
That's incredibly specific.
Yeah, and the AI understands these descriptors because it has mapped those words to specific acoustic properties during its training.
But even with a perfect GPS coordinate, you might arrive at the destination and realize the view isn't quite right. The notes mention this isn't just a slot machine where you pull the lever and take what you get, right? The workflow is highly iterative.
It has to be, because the generation isn't always perfect. Sometimes the AI hallucinates.
Like getting an extra finger in an AI image, but for audio.
Exactly. A vocal might artifact or a drum fill might lose the tempo. So the system allows you to generate, say, a minute of audio, and if the first 30 seconds are brilliant, but the chorus falls flat, you can just cut it right there.
Oh, and just fix that one part.
Yeah, you prompt the AI to regenerate just the bridge and the chorus.
Yeah.
You are essentially sculpting the song over multiple iterations.
I want to focus on that word, sculpting. Because when you realize how much granular control a user has without needing to physically play an instrument, it brings us to this massive paradigm shift. Suno AI hasn't just democratized music, it has completely decoupled musical imagination from physical execution.
And that separation is exactly why this platform is going viral at such an unprecedented rate.
I mean, think about the traditional friction of music production, even if you're just making a backing track for a YouTube video.
Oh, it's a nightmare for beginners.
Seriously, you have to open a DW, program the MIDI, route the synthesizers, sidechain the kick drum to the bass line so they don't clash, EQ the harsh frequencies out of the hi-hats.
Just hearing you list it all sounds exhausting.
Right, that is incredibly technical left brain work that often just completely derails the initial right brain creative spark.
And that's assuming you already know how to do all of that. For the vast majority of creators, filmmakers, podcasters, indie game developers, that friction is a total roadblock.
So they don't even try.
Exactly. They don't have the time to learn audio engineering, so they rely on royalty-free music libraries.
Which is an agonizing process. Anyone who makes content knows the pain of spending 3 hours clicking through generic, soulless corporate tracks.
Just looking for that one specific vibe.
Yes. Trying to find something that matches the exact emotional pacing of a video essay, and you just have to settle for a track that sounds like a corporate training video.
Well, what our sources are showing is a massive behavioral shift away from that. Marketers, YouTubers, and hobbyists are bypassing those libraries entirely now.
Wow. So they're custom building it.
Yep. If a creator needs a cinematic, tense string arrangement that builds for exactly 45 seconds and then drops into a modern hip-hop beat to match a specific scene they edited, they just describe it to Suno.
And they just get it.
They get a custom, bespoke track in 2 minutes.
But I want to push back on the quality aspect here. Because replacing generic background music is one thing. But are people actually listening to this recreationally? Or is it just a tool for content creators to generate passable audio wallpaper?
That's where the data gets really interesting, actually. It is absolutely bleeding into recreational listening.
Really? Like people putting it on Spotify?
Well, the sources detail this massive wave of pure experimentation fueling the virality. People are making highly produced parody songs, meme music, original albums, and bizarre genre mashups.
Give me an example of a mashup.
Oh, like bluegrass death metal. And they are sharing them all over social media. And because the production quality is shockingly high, a casual listener scrolling through their feed often doesn't even register that the song wasn't made by a human.
Which creates this fascinating feedback loop, right? The sheer volume of users throwing bizarre, complex prompts at the system to make meme songs is actually providing the AI with the training data it needs.
Exactly. It's helping it refine its understanding of what humans actually find catchy.
It's crowdsourcing the refinement of the model.
Yeah, the AI is learning from which outputs users choose to extend, which ones they discard, and which ones go viral.
But when you suddenly hand millions of people the ability to bypass traditional production pipelines, when creators start synthesizing custom tracks instead of licensing music or hiring composers, you don't just change the workflow.
No, you disrupt everything.
You break the fundamental economic model of the industry, which is exactly what is tearing the music world in half right now.
It is the great debate of the generative era, and the friction is, frankly, palpable. We are looking at a collision between the ultimate tool for creative empowerment and a perceived existential threat to the livelihoods of professional musicians.
Let's lay out the topography of this debate impartially because both sides have incredibly deep systemic arguments here.
They really do.
On the empowerment side, you have the pragmatists. They see this as the ultimate leveling of the playing field. If you have a brilliant lyrical concept and a great ear for melody, but a physical disability prevents you from playing a guitar, or economic hardship prevents you from buying studio time, Suno gives you a voice.
And from that perspective, restricting this technology is essentially gatekeeping expression based on technical skill and capital. It's saying you can only make music if you can afford the tools.
Right. But on the other side of the aisle, the purists and the working professionals are raising huge alarms about copyright, originality, and the overall devaluation of human labor.
The copyright issue is really the absolute bedrock of the friction. Because, going back to our discussion on how this works, the AI didn't learn what a minor chord or a melancholy acoustic guitar sounds like in a vacuum.
No, it didn't just invent music theory out of nowhere.
Exactly. It was trained on millions of hours of existing human-made music.
This is the massive legal and ethical gray area our sources highlight. The developers of AI models argue that ingesting data to learn mathematical patterns is a form of fair use.
That's their main defense, yeah.
They say the AI is simply learning the rules of music the exact same way a human musician listens to the Beatles to understand pop structure.
Right, but the counter-argument from the artists is that a human listening to the Beatles isn't capable of instantaneously generating 10,000 highly polished songs a minute to flood the commercial market.
The scale completely changes the nature of the learning.
Exactly. Artists argue their copyrighted life's work was ingested without permission, without credit, and without compensation to build a machine that is now directly competing with them for commercial gigs.
And that leads to the existential dread. I mean, if anyone can generate a brilliant, perfectly mixed track in their bedroom for free, what is the market value of the composer who spent 20 years mastering the cello?
It's a terrifying question for working professionals.
Now, I want to play devil's advocate here for a second, just drawing on the historical context in our notes, because the music industry loves to panic about technology.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tradition at this point.
Yeah. In the 1980s, when synthesizers and drum machines hit the mainstream, the musician unions were terrified. They thought traditional drummers and orchestras were going to be entirely obsolete. Then we had the panic over digital sampling, then auto-tune, then streaming platforms.
Every single time, people claimed it was the death of real music.
Exactly. So isn't Suno AI just the next version of the synthesizer? A new tool that will eventually just be integrated into the standard workflow?
It's a really compelling historical parallel. But the sources emphasize a crucial distinction that separates generative AI from every technological leap that came before it.
And what's that distinction?
Well, a synthesizer is a tool of execution. It changes the sound, sure, but it still requires a human to dictate the notes, to program the rhythm, to make all the microscopic musical choices.
Right. You still have to play it.
Exactly. Generative AI crosses a threshold. It is no longer just assisting creativity, it is actually generating the creativity itself.
See, I have to challenge you on that idea of generating creativity. Because the AI isn't waking up and deciding it wants to write a song about heartbreak. It just sits dormant until a human provides the prompt.
That's true.
The human has the creative intent. Isn't prompting just a higher level form of agency? Think about a film director. A director doesn't operate the camera, they don't do the lighting, they don't act in the scene.
But they are the creator of the film.
Right. We universally agree the director is the creator because they provided the vision and guided the execution.
That is a phenomenal counterpoint, and honestly, it is exactly the crux of the debate over authorship right now. Are you the director of the AI, or are you just that client ordering off a menu?
A really advanced drive-through menu.
Yeah, exactly. And the legal systems globally are really struggling with this right now. If you write a highly specific 200-word prompt and the AI generates the song, who actually owns the copyright?
That's the million-dollar question. What's the current consensus?
Currently, the U.S. Copyright Office leans toward the idea that an AI-generated output lacks sufficient human authorship to be copyrighted.
Wait, really? Which means the output is essentially in the public domain the second it's created.
Yes.
That alone is a massive disincentive for major record labels to fully embrace AI generation for their top-tier artists. If they can't own the master recording, they can't monetize it exclusively.
Exactly. But this legal friction isn't slowing down the technological advancement at all. The guardrails of the traditional production pipeline are basically gone. which means the evolution of this tech is accelerating at a staggering pace.
If we look at the horizon mapped out in our deep dive notes, the speed is terrifyingly fast. I mean, just 2 years ago, AI audio was a novelty. It sounded like a dial-up modem trying to sing.
It was so robotic and awkward.
But today, casual listeners often can't distinguish AI tracks from human-produced ones. It's passing the auditory Turing test. If this is where we are now, what happens when the latency drops to zero?
That is the next major frontier, honestly. Real-time dynamic generation. The sources suggest we are moving rapidly toward environments where music is no longer a static file that you just press play on, but a fluid, adaptive stream.
Give me a practical application of that. What does an adaptive stream actually look like for the listener?
Think about the video game industry. Right now, a composer writes a combat track and an exploration track, and the game just crossfades between them.
Right? Pretty standard stuff.
But with real-time generative audio, the soundtrack isn't pre-recorded at all. The AI is synthesizing the music on the fly, directly analyzing what you were doing in the game.
Oh, wow.
So if you are low on health and hiding, the music is this tense, sparse cello playing at 60 beats per minute. The second you engage the enemy, the AI instantly swells the orchestration, adds a driving percussion line, and shifts to a major key if you start winning.
That is incredible. It is a completely bespoke soundtrack generated exclusively for your specific playthrough.
Exactly. The level of immersion is going to be unreal.
But what about passive listening? Does this change how we interact with Spotify or Apple Music?
The sources point heavily toward highly personalized interactive music consumption. We are looking at a future where albums are no longer fixed commodities.
What do you mean by that? Like, the songs change?
Yeah. Imagine your favorite artist releasing a STEM model of their new album. You are at the gym, so you tell your streaming app, play the new acoustic indie album by this artist, but remix the entire thing into a 130 BPM house mix to match my running cadence.
That is wild. It completely dilutes the idea of a shared musical monoculture. You and I could be listening to the exact same new release by the exact same artist, but experiencing two completely different sonic landscapes based on our personal preferences at that exact moment.
It totally redefines the listener as an active collaborator, and we're also seeing the groundwork for official AI collaborations.
Like artists working with AI directly.
Yeah, human artists licensing their specific vocal models and instrumental styles, allowing fans to generate new, authorized hybrid tracks, with the original artist taking a micro-royalty for every generation.
It's the ultimate pivot, really. Instead of fighting the technology, you monetize your own latent space data.
Exactly.
It means we are officially leaving the theoretical phase of AI music. It is no longer this abstract science fiction concept debated in tech forums. It is deployed, it is in the hands of millions of creators, and it is reshaping the entire sonic landscape in real time.
The traditional ecosystem is fundamentally fracturing. Whether it reorganizes into a utopian creative renaissance or a dystopian automated content mill is still up in the air. But the sheer velocity of the shift is undeniable.
Which brings us to the end of our journey today. We've covered massive ground. We started by looking under the hood at the latent diffusion models that allow Suno AI to map the relationship between human language and complex audio frequencies, literally turning a text prompt into a GPS coordinate for sound generation.
We examined the massive behavioral shift happening among creators, too. How bypassing the immense technical friction of traditional digital audio workstations is allowing a whole new demographic to custom build their audio reality.
Completely decoupling imagination from physical execution.
Exactly.
And we waded into the absolute hornet's nest of the copyright and originality debate. We looked at the tension between democratizing expression and the massive ethical questions surrounding training data, human labor, and whether prompting an AI makes you a creator, a director, or just a highly specific consumer.
It is a profound transitional moment for human art. The infrastructure is changing, but so is our relationship with the art itself.
And that is exactly where I want to leave things today. Because for you, the listener, the immediate takeaway is really practical. The next time you hear a brilliant, sweeping, cinematic track on a YouTube documentary or a catchy pop-punk song in the background of a video, you have to ask yourself, did a human actually spend weeks writing and mixing this? Or was it summoned into existence 30 seconds ago by a well-crafted sentence?
The line between human and machine synthesis is only going to get blurrier from here on out.
Which leaves me with one final, slightly provocative thought for you to chew on long after this deep dive is over. We've talked a lot about the mechanics of how this AI perfectly mimics human emotion in its vocal inflections and musical phrasing.
Right, it captures the aesthetics of emotion flawlessly.
Right. So imagine a scenario. You are going through a brutal breakup, or you're just feeling incredibly isolated. You open one of these AI tools and you type out exactly how you're feeling in that moment. You pour your current emotional state into the prompt,
Okay.
and it generates a completely original, personalized song just for you. The acoustic guitar is haunting. The lyrics articulate your pain perfectly. The vocal performance cracks and breaks in all the right places. It is so beautiful, it brings you to genuine tears.
A profoundly moving aesthetic experience.
But you know for an absolute fact that there is no human backstory behind that voice. There was no actual suffering, no lived experience, no human intent driving the art. It is just math, predicting the most statistically probable acoustic frequencies to represent sadness.
Wow.
So the question is, does knowing that the emotion is entirely synthetic make the song any less meaningful to you? If the tears are real, does it matter that the singer is a machine?
That might be the most defining question of our generation.
Something to think about the next time you put your headphones on. Until next time, keep questioning what you hear.